everybody out there watching right now. My name is William Schatzer. I am a reading language arts curriculum coordinator, and we are about to get into this quarterly content training specifically for quarter 3 and for grades 3 through 5. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, we're going to talk quickly about the what and the how. And we believe that we should actually acutely focus on effective instruction, equitable access and outcomes, and continual improvement towards excellence. The 4 strategies that will guide us on our path towards student achievement are instructional delivery and design, strategic staffing, equitable distribution of resources, and creating a sense of belonging. The academic services team is positioned to influence instructional delivery and design. Academic services influences curriculum and instructions via 3 main levers: student experience, content, and pedagogy. And for those of you wondering what academic services is, that is the new term or the new name for the old department that used to be known as teaching and learning. Now, of course, in Dallas ISD, all means all. Tier 1 instruction represents high-quality, district-approved teaching strategies that benefit all learners, whether they are emergent bilingual, comprehensive, GT, or special education. By scaffolding, we can address diverse needs within the regular classroom setting, promote academic success for students with varying abilities, and cultivate a sense of belonging. We ensure inclusivity to Tier 1 instruction because in Dallas ISD, all means all. And here is our agenda for this quarterly content training. We're going to do a quick preview of quarter 3. We're going to get into a little bit of the extended constructed response pre-writing, do a little bit about assessment updates, and then provide you all with some resources for the upcoming quarters. Our learning objective for tonight is I am learning about the Amplify units for quarter 3. Our success criteria are as follows. I can explain what Amplify units and topics will be covered in quarter 3. I can prepare for ECR instruction by unpacking the prompt using the 4 T's chart, and I can locate resources that can support me with my instruction. Let's go ahead and get into our very first success criteria of explaining what Amplify units and topics will be covered in quarter 3. And so what we see right now on the screen is our 3rd grade Unit 7 preview. And specifically what I'm looking at is the curriculum maps located on the Amplify platform. Now, previously in other quarterly content trainings for quarter 2 and other trainings that we have conducted in the RLA department, we often refer to looking at the teacher's guide, a unit introduction, to help us begin previewing the unit and doing our unit internalization during PLC. Now, that's a great tool to do that, and you should absolutely keep using it. But if we have not already done so, there are 2 more documents that I think are absolutely crucial to implementing when we're taking a look at unit internalization. So again, this is the 3rd grade Unit 7 curriculum map, and this is found on the 3rd grade landing page under the materials at the bottom of the Amplify curriculum site. And what this provides you, obviously at the top, we have the unit of length, which is 22 days. And of course, the expectation from Amplify is that we have 19 lessons, so 19 instructional days. But of course, we have to always make changes and do what is best suited for our students in our schools, so that it's not a hard and fast number. There are 3 pausing points provided by Amplify, and the unit assessment is on lesson 18 and 19 of Unit 7 within 3rd grade. Then it goes on to provide you a summary of what this unit is going to be about. And one of the pieces I really like is the learning outcomes that Amplify provides. So they give you a bulleted list of the specific outcomes that a student should achieve by the end of the unit. And then there at the bottom, another great useful tool are all of your TEKS listed out. So you have all of your instructional TEKS, which are the TEKS that are going to be covered throughout the lessons within this unit. Provides you with the ELPs as well. And then it gives you the TEKS formative assessments. So what it means by that, those TEKS are the TEKS that are going to be covered in the exit tickets at the end of the lessons. And then you have the TEKs covered in the summative assessment. And those are the TEKs that are going to be covered in the end of unit assessment. And we'll probably make mention of these standards here again very shortly. The other document that I think is great when we're doing our unit internalization is the unit level essential questions. So it gives you a chunk of lessons 1 through 5 here, 6 through 10, 11 through 15, and lessons 16 through 19. And it provides you all with some guiding questions and the major writing prompts within those lessons, that block of lessons. And what's great here, it always gives us a reminder of what we're trying to work towards within that chunk of lessons. And one of course, the guiding questions is one of those major questions or themes of the lessons that we want our students to be able to kind of keep in the back of their head while they're going through these lessons, and hopefully be able to answer and respond to by the end of that chunk of lessons. Then at the very bottom, it also gives you a culminating activity for that entire unit. And this specific document is, again, it's located in on the Amplify website, and it's going to be in the actual daily instructional materials and not on the unit landing page, if you will, or the grade level landing page. So these two documents, in addition to the unit introduction found in the teacher's guide, are great sources when we're doing our unit internalization. Now, going from there, we're going to look at the actual unit internalization document. And you've probably seen this document before. Maybe you use it in your PLCs. And this is provided from TEA. And it was created by TEA in conjunction with the Amplify. And we're going to kind of focus on these first 3 questions here. Why is the unit important? What are the 3 to 5 key takeaways students should have by the end of the unit? And what formal writing piece will students complete during this unit? So on the right-hand side of the screen, we see our unit introduction for grade 3, unit 7. And of course, it breaks down everything that will be happening within this unit. And we're going to take a look at these, in this case, 3 pages. So we have our reading skills, the spelling skills, the grammar skills, the morphology, and here directly is why is this unit important. So this is obviously going to be the piece of information that I use to fill out our very first question of why is this unit important. Provides you your grammars lessons, tells you what your prior knowledge is, so what your students should have achieved in 1st and 2nd grade, and then gives us the writing assignments and the performance tasks / assessments for that specific unit. So if I'm trying to fill out this unit internalization document in my PLC, or if I'm trying to do it on my own, those are the 3 things I'm going to have. I'm going to have my unit introduction documents from the teacher's guide. I'm going to have my curriculum maps that we just looked at, and I'm also going to have the essential questions document. So here is an example or an exemplar of a filled out, completed unit internalization document. So why is this unit important? Again, that literally comes straight from the teacher's guide, from the unit introduction, where it states why this unit is important. What are the 3 to 5 key takeaways students should have by the end of this unit? For this, what I did to achieve or to answer this question, I went back to the curriculum maps document, and I pulled the 3 to 5 bullets from here of the learning outcomes that I thought would be most beneficial for my students to achieve within this unit. So that's where I got that information from. Additionally, what formal writing piece will students complete during this unit? You can find that in a couple different locations, but of course, here you have your writing tasks listed right here, and that information is also on your curriculum maps document. So if I want to get this done quickly and efficiently, here's what I'm doing. I'm having my unit introduction from the teacher's guide, my curriculum maps document, and my essential questions document. I'm going to fill this out very quickly and efficiently, and bada bing, bada boom, I'm done with my unit internalization as far as documenting that I've done my unit internalization. Now, to make this more digestible for myself and more digestible for my students, now obviously my students are going to see this, but it's going to translate to what I do with my students in the classroom. What I'm going to do after this is now I'm going to write my students a letter. And there's going to be 3 things I write in this letter to my students. I'm going to explain what they will be learning in the unit. I'm going to touch on what they should be excited about or what I think they're going to enjoy in this unit. And then finally, I'm going to briefly touch on what they might not like or what they may need support in within this unit. And kind of the reason why I'm doing this is there's multiple reasons, but I want to kind of synthesize all the information I've been gathering while doing my unit internalization. That's really the main reason behind why I'm doing this letter. But additionally, if I'm doing a bunch of work in Google Classroom, I'm going to post this in my Google Classroom so all my students can see and read it, or I might just read it out loud in the classroom or post it somewhere within my classroom so the students can see it and read it. And that's kind of hoping to build those positive relationships with my students and let them see that I'm, just a human being as well. And hopefully it'll cause a bit of discourse within the classroom with the students asking more questions about the unit, getting more engaged and more excited about the unit. So here is my example letter to the students that I've written. It says, "Dear students, we're going to be starting Unit 7 shortly, and I wanted to let you know that this unit is all about astronomy and space exploration. I know you're going to love this unit because I hear you guys always asking each other what your sign is. Well, all that is based on science and specifically astronomy. Guess what, though? I know some of you don't even really believe we landed on the moon, but in the second half of this unit, we are going to explore space travel, and it might just change your opinion. Now, I know some of us are not that into science, but don't worry, because we are going to make this unit fun and engaging. Sincerely, Mr. Schatzer." So this is just a great little activity. Obviously, this isn't something you have to do, but for me, I love doing it because, again, it kind of solidifies what is going to be transpiring in this unit. And then, again, it also helps build those relationships with my students. So just an idea of what you can possibly do on your own time. Now, the next steps that we're going to get into. Now, previously, in our, again, previous quarterly content trainings, we talked about how we can do some backwards planning to kind of help us do some unit internalization. And by that, we looked at our assessed TEKS and we compared them to the frequently taught TEKS within that unit. So here, you've probably seen this T-chart before. This is where we would look at all the TEKS on the end of unit assessment. Then we would go back and compare that to all the TEKS taught within the lessons in that unit. And then we will make decisions based on what is on the assessment and what is in that lesson as to what we might want to cut out from that lesson or what we might want to focus on within that lesson. So if I'm doing all my TEKS that are on the assessment, I'm comparing that to the very first lesson within that unit, and I see that none of the TEKS on the assessment are within that first lesson or even that first couple of lessons within the unit. I have to make that decision. What do I want to focus on in these first couple of lessons? Now, being that it's the first couple of lessons, you might want to hit on some introductory things. But as we go on throughout the unit, if we are finding lessons that have a bunch of standards that aren't going to be on the end of unit assessment or really aren't something that I know my students are struggling with, that might be a perfect opportunity to kind of pull those areas out of Amplify and kind of bring in some things that we know might better focus on the standards or focus on the skills that the students might need more support with. Again, we're always using Amplify and we're always using Tier 1 curriculum, but we have to find what is best suited for our students. And it's okay to make some customizations to the Amplify lessons to better suit your students. Additionally, you can do that by looking at the end of unit assessment blueprints that are always on Curriculum Central. So please go to Curriculum Central, check out the assessment blueprints that is going to be on the reading language arts and dual language homepage once you scroll down a little bit. All right, let's get into success criteria number 2, preparing for the extended constructed response instruction by unpacking the prompt using the 4 T's chart. All right, we're going to take a look at a little bit of information here. And this is information that is specific to Dallas ISD. This is not data that is from the state of Texas overall. This is just our Dallas ISD students in grades 3 through 5. Some of you may have seen this data before, but if you haven't, it's great information to see, great data to see. And if you have already seen it, honestly, you can't see it enough because it is quite interesting and quite useful in my opinion. So we're looking at a chart here. On the very left, we have our grade levels. We have grades 3, grades 4, and grades 5. Next to that, we have our passage and genre. So this is referencing last year's STAR test that your students took. This is the passage that they had to read on that STAR test, and this is the genre that those passages were. So in third grade, they read two texts. They read a paired passage, and both of those passages were informational. Those passages were rewards for recycling and laws for less trash. In fourth grade, they read Austin's Secret Salamander, and of course, that was informational. And in fifth grade, they read The Camping Trip, which is a work of fiction. In our next column, we have the extended constructed response writing prompts that the students had to respond to. So in third grade, they had to explain their opinion about why people should or should not be rewarded for recycling. And what was the writing genre? Argumentative. So the students in third grade were expected to read a paired passage, and they were expected to write an argumentative response to the writing prompt. In fourth grade, their writing prompt was explain why the Edwards aquifer is important in the article, and that mode of writing should have been informational. And in fifth grade, the students were expected to explain how Kim shows determination throughout the story, and their mode of writing was informational as well. So third grade really had the roughest because they had to read two passages, and then they had to write an argumentative response to their writing prompt. And if we look at our data here on the very right-hand side, we kind of see some eye-opening numbers. So these are the scores that a student could achieve. We have scores 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the extended constructed response is scored on a scale of 0 through 5, but it is also scored by two different individuals. So it is scored twice for a grand total of 10 points. And these are what our students scored on last year's STAR test for the extended constructed response. In third grade, 46% of the third graders here scored a 0, 2% scored a 1, 8% scored a 2. So if we're looking at 0, 1, and 2, those are really rough scores to receive on extended constructed response, and that's well over 50% of our students. So if we have almost 50% of our students scoring a 0 on this, we should know at this point that an extended constructed response is worth 10 points on the STAR test, and that is almost 20% of their STAR test score. So if they receive a 0 on that, you're almost guaranteed to not be able to get to masters. It's going to be extremely difficult to get to meets, and even getting to approaches at that point is going to be quite difficult for a lot of our students. So the extended constructed response is a huge task that we have to get our students more prepared or better prepared to encounter when it comes time to take the end of course assessment. Now, looking at fourth grade, we see 48% of our students scored a 0. Again, not good at all. Fifth grade, we did a little bit better with 29% of our students receiving a 0. But again, all these students who received a 0, and really the students who received a 1 and 2 as well, they're almost behind. They're pretty much behind the 8 ball at this point as far as getting to approaches and meets for their STAR scores. So this is something that we really need to pay attention to and kind of prepare our students to perform better on. Now, some of the things that we saw across the board when they were scoring these responses that our students had, these were some of the commonalities that they saw when scoring them. So some of the common traits, when a student received a 0 or 1 for their STAR score, they noticed that there was no thesis provided or no central idea. They often summarize the text. There's minimal writing, and there are numerous grammatical errors. Students who received a score of 2 to 3, they would say that their response could read as an SCR. Now, an SCR, that response should only be 2 sentences long. That's all you need. An ECR, an extended constructed response, is obviously extended. We should be writing far more than 2 sentences. We should be writing like it's an essay. Evidence is present, but there is a lack of commentary, and it could include grammatical errors that impede the understanding. And if their students received a score of 4 to 5, we're doing really good. There was a clear thesis. They used precise use of evidence. There's commentary that connected to the thesis, and then minimal grammatical errors. So we have to understand, if we want our students to improve on this, this is huge information for us. We got to get them to be able to write a thesis or central idea. They cannot summarize the text. They have to do some extended writing So we have to do more than just a couple sentences. And then we kind of have to work on our grammatical errors and make sure that our grammatical errors that we are making aren't making their response unable to be understood by the person rating it or grading it. So what we have here now is a blank 4T's chart. And this is our students' new pre-writing activity that we want them to do to help them better understand the writing prompt and be able to unpack that writing prompt so the students know what they're supposed to be responding to when writing their extended constructor response. So we have the prompt at the top. So ideally, we would be practicing this throughout the year. And once it was time for the students to actually take the STAR test, they wouldn't necessarily need to do this, but they do receive a scratch paper and a pencil or pen. So they could create this if they really wanted to, but hopefully by the time we get to the STAR test, that this is kind of second nature and it's not something that they actually have to spend time doing. But if they do, that's fine. So at the top of this 4T chart, we would write what the prompt is. So again, this is for third grade and this is for Unit 7. Explain a day in the life of an astronaut on the International Space Station. So that is the ECR prompt for third grade, Unit 7. Then we have the task, the text, and then my thoughts. So by the task, we have to understand what mode they are supposed to be writing in. Our students are either going to write an informational response or an argumentative response. Now, based on our writing prompt here, it is obviously going to be informational as they are explaining a day in the life of an astronaut on the International Space Station. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to identify keywords from the prompt. What are the keywords that's going to help my students understand what they're supposed to be writing about? And what are the keywords that we can find from the text that is actually in our prompt? In this case, we want our students to explain something. Now, what do we want them to explain? We want them to explain a day of an astronaut on the International Space Station. So explain a day, astronaut and space station. So this might actually be something that we could do before we begin reading the prompt. We obviously are going to know, if we're practicing in the curriculum, what the writing prompt is. We're going to know what the text is, so we can begin filling out the 4T's chart before we even begin reading. That way, as we've got this completed right now, as we are reading, we can highlight or annotate the moments within the text where we see things about an astronaut, where we see things about the International Space Station, and things that are happening within a day there on the International Space Station. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the text evidence, of course. So here we're going to provide text evidence. Our students are going to provide their text evidence that they find that is relatable to the writing prompt. Paragraph 2, 3 astronauts can live there at one time. They stay for 6 months at a time. So this is telling us how long astronauts stay on the International Space Station and how many there are. In paragraph 3, it states astronauts in the space station don't feel the effects of gravity like we do on Earth. And finally, in paragraph 6, leaving the space station and coming back to Earth can be hard. So these are my 3 pieces of text evidence I would like to use in my response. And then the my thoughts piece, this is where the students add their commentary in. And each commentary piece that we provide here, or that the students provide here, is going to relate to their text evidence. So the very first piece of commentary that I'm going to add in here is 6 months is a long time to only be around 2 other people. That's what I'm thinking in my head if I'm a student. And I've just read that these people have to be around just only 2 other people for an entire 6 months. In my head, I'm like, that's a long time, and I wouldn't want to do that. So that's my commentary piece. Additionally, because there's no gravity, everybody just floats. That's an obvious commentary piece based on the text evidence that gravity does not affect astronauts on the space station like it does here on Earth. And then finally, going from space back to Earth is not easy. Plain and simple. Now, from all this information that I've just provided here, this is where I would craft my thesis statement or my controlling idea or claim if we're doing an argumentative piece. So astronauts spend their day on the International Space Station doing things differently than they would if they were working on planet Earth. Now from here, I start beginning my crafting of my extended constructive response. And kind of one key piece of information to keep in mind is that when our students are writing their extended constructed response, the expectation is that their final response on the day of the STAR test, it's actually as a rough draft. There isn't an expectation on the STAR test that the students are pre-writing, drafting, and then submitting a final draft. Their response is expected to be a rough draft response. Now, if you have not heard enough of ECR yet, we have some asynchronous courses, some PLC packages specific to extended constructed response. Those are located on as a RISE session in the online platform. So please go into Cornerstone, search for the PLC packages about ECR. And again, it's an asynchronous RISE course that you can take in your own time if you want to get more information about the extended constructed responses. Moving on. Let's continue on to our next slide, hopefully. Okay, are the resources. So this is the final success criteria. I can locate resources that can support me with my instruction. So there are a lot of resources, and there's actually been some new resources added to Curriculum Central. You can scan this QR code and it will take you directly to Curriculum Central. But I think I'm going to click on a couple of things just to show you what's there. Just FYI, down here in the green, these are some Amplify internalization videos that Amplify themselves have provided to us for some of the upcoming units. Great if you want to take a minute, watch those, and kind of get their perspective on internalizing their own units. Additionally, there are some here in orange, the Amplify grades 3 through 5 resources that they have provided for training resources if you want to do some more digging into the Amplify curriculum. And then the light blue is the SLAR resources that they have provided that go along with the ELAR resources. I'm going to take a quick look at Curriculum Central and show you a couple things that I think are very beneficial. So if we're on the home page right here, what you can go, there's a new tab at the top that says Curriculum and PLC in Action. On this tab, what you're going to find is some training videos, not really training videos, but there are videos of a few different things. There's elementary and middle school videos on here, but they are videos from campuses here at the ISD from teachers modeling a lesson with their students. Here's a third grade ELAR poetry lesson. Here's a second grade ELAR skills lesson. And then here's a fifth grade ELAR analyzing text for purpose. And then we get into some middle school things. There's also some videos of campuses conducting their PLC. So we have a middle school PLC video here and an elementary ELAR, SLAR PLC using data to plan for misconceptions and scaffolding. So if you want to kind of see what a model lesson looks like or what a model PLC format might look like to maybe help guide how you would like to do some of your lessons and some of your PLCs, please head on over to Curriculum Central and go to the Curriculum and PLC in Action tab. And of course, this is where you would find all of your IPCs for your contents and everything. You go to your RLA Dual 2324. And if you scroll down, this is where you will find those Amplify internalization videos right here, the Amplify resources. And then also you will find your assessment blueprints down here at the bottom as well. So those are a lot of the resources that we have for you. There's some great stuff there. And if you get the opportunity, check out some of those videos. I think they're pretty useful to better understanding some things about Amplify. Additionally, the Reading Language Arts Department has recreated their s'mores / newsletter we used to do. It went away for a while, but they have started it back up again. You can scan that QR code. It will take you directly to it. So keep an eye out for the RLA newsletter that provides updates about the curriculum and upcoming events, so on and so forth. You might get some good information out of there. And of course, we are always offering our office hours, 3 through 5. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 to 5. Dual Language does it at the same time on the same days. So if you need support from Dual Language or you need support from the Reading Language Arts team regarding the curriculum, please hop on to our office hours. We're always there to help out. Here is your entire reading language arts department team from the top to the bottom. This is all of our contact information. If you ever have any questions, please reach out to us. You can reach out directly to me, William Schatzer, Lisa Flores. We are both elementary curriculum coordinators, and Dr. Jill Cuomo, she does our K through 2 curriculum work. Bea, she is out on leave right now, so you won't be able to get a hold of her right now. But you can contact any of us, and we get you in contact with the right person. Additionally, here is the dual language team. If you ever need any support on campuses, or you need support with the dual language curriculum, please feel free to contact any one of the individuals here. You have their names, you have their email addresses. Please reach out for support. Additionally, here's some really good information. Amplify has literacy coaches that work Monday through Thursday, going to campuses, providing support in your classroom as well as PLCs. There's one per region. So here are their names, and here's their contact information. They do have a schedule that they follow that you would have to fill out or just complete a request for them to come by, and they kind of do it by appointment, if you will, but they also just walk campuses on a regular basis as well. So if you are in one of these 5 regions, which of course you are, please contact your region literacy coach and ask if you could get them to come out to your campus or come to your PLC to provide a little bit of support if you so choose to do so. It's a great resource. Let's make use of it. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate y'all listening to me. Y'all have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the school year.